Welcome back. We are in K, which means knowledge is power. And this is part of the 26 lessons from A to Z as you continue to look to launch something amazing. I'm excited that you made it this far. I'll be talking about just that achievement in a minute. So K, knowledge is power. This works in two ways. One is on a personal level. Are you continuing to be a learner? And the second is your team. Are you continuing to inspire your team? I have found actually that if you're good at one of those things, like you're really good at personal growth and learning, you're actually good at both. You also inspire a team. And then I've noticed that people who are bad at one of those things, like they don't inspire their team, they also don't really seem to be a good personal learner. So they kind of work hand in hand. And so we're going to use that knowledge throughout this particular section. I'm going to hone in on 4 specific areas of knowledge. But the more that you know, the better, right? There's all kinds of ways that you can add knowledge to your life, but I'm going to talk about 4 specific ones. The first is vision frame. Leaders need vision, especially new ones. And the ones you are trying to recruit, they're going to need vision. You're going to have to really show vision to them. People are attracted to vision. People give to vision. Vision must continue to adapt in an ever-changing world. You're constantly working on vision. I believe the world is getting faster and faster, and there was probably a time you could have a vision for a company or organization that would have been good enough from day one to last the lifetime of that organization. But now we are seeing companies die just left and right because their inability to adapt and adjust the vision as they move forward. Ford Motor Company, it could come out with great cars for years. It could lead the market in electric cars, but they stuck to their guns and Tesla came along, and now Tesla is the highest valued car company in the world. Why? Because the companies that were massive just never adapted to a changing market. How about the big box stores? They were so popular a few years ago, and now they're going out of business left and right to an Etsy, Amazon, eBay world. Social media has replaced newspapers, TV, and about 50 other industries. Throughout this video, I'm going to give you a ton of resources, right? But the point isn't actually the resources, because in a year they could totally be invalid. There's something bigger and better. That's the point of knowledge and growing. So the fact that we're talking about knowledge is power, we have to be constant learners, constant vision casters. Even all the stuff I'm giving you, that's great for now, and hopefully it helps you, but continue to be a learner. Start off right away with the resource of Canoeing the Mountains by Bolsinger. I don't know what I did with the cover. It had a cover at one point. Probably got ruined in the rain because the whole book got ruined in the rain. But anyway, I digress. It talks about how Lewis and Clark took this group of men on a journey to find the water route from the East Coast to the West Coast. And then they hit the Rocky Mountains. They were not expecting the Rocky Mountains. They had canoes. They had all kinds of water traversing stuff, whatever you do for that. And then they had to adapt. The Rocky Mountains kept getting bigger and taller and longer, and the depth and the height, everything that they had prepared for was different. Can we adapt and succeed, or continue to do it the way that we expected it to be done, or how it was always done? Are we going to adapt and move forward and be learners with knowledge, or are we going to die? This is a great book that walks you through the process of adapt or die. I can tell that many incredible entrepreneurs stopped being learners in our world, because every month I read about another company that's going bankrupt. Why? I mean, I'm writing this in the midst of the coronavirus, the 2020 pandemic that rocked our world. It's interesting to hear the sadness that people write on social media about a company that they just love going bankrupt, and how sad it is that coronavirus caused this. And then I look at those companies and I see Hertz, Chuck E. Cheese, J.C. Penney's, Pier 1, J. Crew, Brook Brothers, the whole list. They have all the same things in common. And it wasn't the coronavirus that killed them, it just escalated it to the highest point. They looked exactly the same as I remember going to them in high school. I'm how old am I? I'm like 25 years after high school, and if I walk in a Chuck E. Cheese, it looks the same. So yeah, coronavirus was the final nail in the coffin, but you stopped adapting a long time ago. Somewhere along the way, they stopped being learners. You have to continue to be a learner. Like, these guys started companies, so they were ballers at one time or another, right? They were ballers launching companies that did well, that made lots and lots of money. I'm not putting anything down on these companies. They were built, and it was probably hard, and it took off, and they were well known. Brooks Brothers is known for the suit company that put all the suits on every president. Like, they have all this history that everyone knows about, and now they're bankrupt. Why? Because your legacy of what you did at one point isn't going to be enough. You have to continue to be a learner and continue to adapt to the world you live in. By the way, this is so true of the church. A lot of these videos, as you know at this point, are about launching churches. If we don't continue to adapt in the church, we're going to see all of them die as well. They get bigger, they were launched by someone amazing, but if they don't continue to adapt to the world and the community that they're trying to reach with the message, doesn't mean the message changes, it's just the way you deliver the message can change. In all of these scenarios, the leader was treated like a genius, right? At some point, he started believing the hype. Men and women surrounding this leader, whoever launched whatever they launched, business or church or whatever, told them how great they were. And after a while, they started to believe it. And the smarter they got, or they told they were, the more they stopped learning and listening to entrepreneurs that were all around them and the world that was telling them something all around them. Instead of adapting every couple of years to a changing world, they continue to tell new leaders how stupid they were and how things were done in their day and how much better the world used to be. And just trust me, I've done it already. I've done it once, I can do it again. Those new leaders played along for a while until the dam broke. Now, to be honest with you, the pendulum has swung so far the other way. New leaders don't even try to work with dinosaur organizations. They give them a couple months, maybe a year, and then they're just like launching their own thing. We have a completely different problem, actually, of so many things launching with very little knowledge. But if you're watching these videos and you've gotten this far, as I was saying at the beginning, if you are on K, you really have pressed in, and I'm so excited because you believe in learning. You're not in the camp of just taking off and launching something without any knowledge. I've had a lot of people quit over the last 25 years of coaching. Lots of people quit after the first couple of times. Hardly anyone really pushes through all the way to the end. There's something that happens along the way where it's like, okay, I got the gist of it, and then they just want to go do what they want to do. So a lot of people quit after the first time. They are looking for something that's going to get them their next job, their next thing, and they just want to, like, okay, yeah, I get the concept of this, but I'm looking for a job. You know, like they're missing the idea that knowledge is power. And if you're patient, and if you continue to work on this area, it will make you stronger and stronger and stronger. So first and foremost, are you continuing to adapt the vision? this vision frame? Have you honed in on it and you're keeping that vision just fresh every month? That doesn't mean you're changing it. I'm just saying you're keeping it fresh, continuing to adapt it and move it the way it needs to be adapted into your organization. You don't change it. Don't hear me wrong here. If you're changing your vision of what you're doing every month, you're giving your leadership team whiplash, right? You can't do that. But you have to continue to listen to the feedback, have the learning skills to adapt, and then maybe every 6 months to a year, you're taking a deeper dive into it to adjust it slightly. But that slight adjustment every 6 months makes you miles ahead of most in how most people are launching organizations. Knowledge is power. When you have people join your team, their motivation will be so high and they'll be so excited to jump in and use their talents and their gifts with you. Their minds will race of all the ways they're going to be able to put their passion into what you're doing. What you do next, how you invest into them to help them grow, to move them forward, and to bring them to be a part of the ultimate vision is going to make all the difference in the world if they stay that passionate about what you're launching. How are you investing into them, continuing to help them grow? Do you have them making coffee and stacking chairs when they said they wanted to help you launch something amazing? Is that what you think they meant when they said that? Never underestimate these early adopters that come in and say, I'm here to be a part of this journey with you. And then you have them make coffee. And never underestimate how quickly you can dampen someone's passion by not continuing to adapt and grow in knowledge and help them grow as well, which leads us really to the second area of knowledge is power, and that's relationship. In the end, relationship will trump money, it'll trump vision. You can have an incredible vision and the greatest mission in the world, but if you are a jerk to work with, people will move on. You can be the best paying job in the city and you'll have lots of people join your team. No problem. Everyone wants to come here anyway, so we'll just get 3 more. We pay well. Yeah, you do, but you could pay a lot less and be awesome at relationship, and you would find longevity that builds something far greater that would last or will last. Relationship starts with knowing your team. You know their name, you know their wife's name, you know their kid's name, and then you begin to know them well, what makes them tick, what their passion areas are, what their dreams are. Most leaders that I have met barely get past step 1, knowing names of the family. But get a few people on board and even that area slips. And the problem is there's quite a few more steps that we should be thinking about. We need to be thinking about onboarding well. How have you maximized this new leader, this someone that you brought on board, volunteer or paid, into the perfect role that they were built for? Did you give them all the right training to be successful? Did you give them great tools to be successful? I remember I came to one job and they handed me a computer. It was like 10 years old and like as big as this book, which is not a big computer. It was a little tiny laptop and it was 10 years old, and they said, here's your computer. And I go, okay, thank you, you can have that back. This is totally true story. He handed it to me and I go, that's okay. And I brought my own computer from home because I'm like, I care too much about what I'm doing to use that. And it was so funny because that was day 1 with this new organization. And I knew on day 1 that their process in their head was, we hire someone and then they take care of it. They figure out how to grow and do this thing. We no longer have any input into it. And that's what it was. And that job didn't last long. Another organization hired me and never told me the budget that I was working with. I never knew exactly what money was in my budget, how I could spend it, and really what I was supposed to do and not do. And so every time I did something, I was kind of guessing. I would say, well, this was part of my job, turn in the receipt, and then I would hear back whether or not it was approved or not, which was quite annoying because sometimes it wasn't. I was constantly learning, okay, that's not okay. Okay, great. I'm out the money, but great. And what it actually made me do is really be slow. I would err on not doing something over doing something. And I'm kind of an entrepreneur on steroids. Like, I love just blazing new trails. Just point me in a direction and say, we have no idea how we're navigating this, and I will blaze a path through it. I'll write a book about it, and then I'll bring teams through it. The worst thing you could do is just every time I went forward, you knocked me back saying, no, that's not how we want it done. No, that was wrong. No, you can't do that. I'm okay if you do this, but not this. And like every time we take a step, it gets knocked back with new knowledge, I guess, new wisdom of what you do and you don't want. Are you? It's just, we have to be better at onboarding people. That's knowledge. How are you onboarding every single volunteer, every single team member into their sweet spot? The problem is not that you don't have the right team members. We always like to blame, like, okay, once we have the right people on the bus before we move the bus. Okay, I'm guessing that you'll never have the right people on the bus. If you're waiting for the right person and your onboarding sucks, you're never going to have the right people on your bus. The problem is you have to be proactive, productive in exactly knowing how you're bringing people on, the tools you're giving them, and the way you're setting them up for success. And the reality is, we don't even know their family's name. We don't know what makes them tick. We don't know what their kids are into. We don't know their kids' birthdays. We don't even try. Start doing all of that and watch how strong your team becomes. Your early adopters will become life adopters. Your turnover will be non-existent. The fourth area of this point 2, exactly, this is a biggie. How are you helping them grow? This is part of your investment into them. When I build teams, I pretty much create a book of the month club, not just one book a year that I thought was great and I give it to my leaders and I say, you got to read this. No, we're working through books. I brought some of them down. I have them all around this room. One I always use, it's so old now, but it's The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. This book is amazing. It's an older book, I know, but anyone I really like, I've had read it. Like I've said, you got to read this book. Sorry if you're a friend and I've not told you about it. Most likely you don't see me as your coach, so that's why I only coach people who actually ask me to. So it's not like I would just suggest a book to you. But anyway, this is another one, Now Discover Your Strengths by Buckingham. Again, oldie but goodie. This one was amazing. I used it a ton when I was bringing on early leaders onto my teams. I don't use it anymore because I actually wrote a book with a lot of those principles in it and just said exactly how I wanted to invest into someone. This one is Developing the Leader Within You by Maxwell, another oldie but goodie. And I'm pulling a bunch of old ones because I wore them out using them as training materials. A new one I love is called Traction by Gino Wickman. This book was just mind-blowing. Again, just marked up like crazy. I ended up, after reading this, writing another like 100 pages using all the material in here because this was about business. I wanted to do the same stuff for a nonprofit and then use that for training material, which was fun. A lot of that's in here. You're getting pieces of that. This book, Storytelling is Easy by Barrett, just amazing. I'm just kidding. This is like from the 60s, but here's what's so funny. I took this book with me to India and everyone on the trip made fun of me. They're like, what is that old looking children's book you've got? And I had just A friend was clearing out his office of all his old books and said I could have them because he sees I read all the time. And this was one of them. And honestly, when I was going to India, I was working through a stack of books. And so I grabbed the next 5 and chucked them in my bag. And this was in there. And this one's not really that good, but it could have been. And so you just continue to take it in, just trying to be a learner. You can learn from anything, but just make your mind up that you're going to be a learner and you're going to be someone that invests in your teams from the stuff you're learning. All right, help your team grow and they will be loyal and they will get better every year. Invest in your team with true relationship. Invite them to your home for dinner once a month. Go on vacation with them. I know, mind-blowing that we would do that with actually being friends with our coworkers, even if you're their boss. And invite them over. Have fun together. Do fun stuff. Like, life is too short to be a boss and hire new workers every year because you have no relationship with the ones you have currently. Build a team around you that is smaller and tighter, that can adapt, learn, and get better every year. I promise you, you'll have so much more fun. Knowledge is power. Point 3 of 4 points, training. Maybe from all the book stuff I just pulled out, you're thinking, didn't we go over training? I kind of just did that. But I'm talking about the higher level training. This is the training that costs money. The conferences, the retreats, the coaches. I mean, you should be paying me, right? I'm being facetious because most of you probably aren't paying. I hate charging people. But let's be honest, you would probably be taking this way more serious if it was costing you a significant amount of money. So even if it's not me, put a coach on your payroll and watch how much you grow every single month. You're investing into yourself. You're investing into the thing that you're launching. I don't care who you use. There should be a conference, a retreat, and a coach all on your calendar. And then when you go to the retreat or the conference, the next one should already be on your calendar. If it's not on your calendar right now, you're becoming a boss who knows everything. In all those bankrupt companies, those bosses knew everything. If you're not continuing to be a learner, then you must think you're the other guy who knows it all. I have noticed in organizations, especially the church, we're pretty good at sending new team members to like one training when they start. You know, we tell them there's this conference, want to make sure you're at that. And then years go by before they ever go to another one. And we don't keep them accountable because we know there's a huge cost involved. But shouldn't we? To do this correctly, it should be mandatory that there's always a scheduled training, a conference, and a coaching meeting on their calendar. All those things, always. Meaning they come home and the next one is already set. Mandatory. Do this and you will have a team that's getting better every year. Yes, it's expensive. But you know what's more expensive? That 3 to 6 months severance that you're paying when you let somebody go that is it's on shaky ground. So you got to give them a little extra severance just to make sure there's no bad blood. That is expensive. It's expensive bringing on new people, training them, getting them up to speed, whatever you do for onboarding. We should spend money on all that. That was one of my earlier points, right? We should spend money on that, but should we be using that every year, like bringing on 3 more people because we just have such a high turnover? That's expensive. When you're investing into people, they'll stick around longer. They will feel appreciated. They'll feel like they're growing and their knowledge is growing and that you care that they're getting smarter. Invest a couple $1,000s a year into someone and just watch not only how much more loyal they are to you, but the productivity that actually goes up in your organization. It's an investment you should be making. Be someone who cares about knowledge because knowledge is power. 4th last area, knowledge is power, works in encouragement. See, it doesn't sound like it does, but it does. I'm shocked at how bad bosses are at encouragement. These are real people. These are real people that you're bringing on your team with families and emotions. Life is hard, and those mundane aspects of life, when you're dealing with the phone company, that you have to ask for representatives 50 times for 30 minutes before you get a person, or the gardener when you go out and you just want to relax outside and the gardener shows up next door. Like, that's real life, and it wears on you. And then you go to work and you get such little encouragement from your boss, who at one point hired you and you thought, this person believes in me, and then you realize, oh no, they don't. I never hear a word from them. There's a reason that drug companies make so much money in our society. Life can suck. Why? Why is life this way? What if we were different? What if we launched something different that really invested into people, yourself right off the bat, and then the team that you put around you? Knowledge is power, and the more knowledge you give, the more encouragement. Everyone feels discouragement. The devil's advocate people who are always telling you, you know, this could be wrong, this could happen, have you thought about this? There's plenty of people doing that. That dime a dozen. You can hire those left and right. But the encourager, an encourager is someone who relates to the team. As the leader, you'll have to move back and forth between the team and what they're working on and the 10,000-foot level, looking down on the whole organization. But if you are relational and you're gaining knowledge about what the team's doing, it'll make both things happen at a greater level. Think of it this way. If you're investing into this team and you are continuing to invest into them with knowledge, and then you come in with encouragement, maybe that looks like a personal thing. What's one thing that you can add to someone's life in your team to make their life a little better? Like personally, like you give a birthday kid to their child, or you give a gift card for their husband and wife to go on a date. Couple $100, right? Couple $100, but it's a huge investment into one of those team members. These small personal dollars could translate to tens of thousands of dollars towards your company's profit. Why? Well, they feel like you see them, that you actually see their issues. You have gained enough knowledge by spending time with them to know exactly a way that would bless them, that costs very little. It could be a $50 gift card, whatever it is, not just randomly, but something that means something personally to them. Watch the productivity after that, the loyalty, how many times you don't lose someone, pay severance, and have to onboard a new person. Trust me, the amount of money difference is huge. By being an encourager daily or weekly, you're taking a few minutes to check in on your team and gain knowledge. In ministry, I was training a high-level leader once, and my piece of advice to them, almost on a monthly basis, was walk slower. They were an incredible, gifted entrepreneur that went from one task to another at Mach speed. And when they would get into the lobby, they would just into their next meeting, wherever it was. They would go through, and it translated into their actual customer bases as well, in which they moved quickly from person to person to person, when that's not what was needed. They needed to walk slower, listen, and have real conversations. I understand a lot of people watching this, man, if you walk slower in the office, you have to have a little 2-minute conversation here and a little 2-minute conversation here, and you're like, oh gosh, before I get out of the office, I've lost 30 minutes of my day, and I can't do that. But you know what takes longer than that 30 minutes? A 3-hour meeting, because what was brought to you needs to be redone. And you can't believe the way this product ended up being. And so you have to then tear it all down and get everyone on the right page, understanding what they're supposed to be doing, and then tell them to do it again. And then we'll meet again in another week, right? How long are those meetings? When if you are walking through the lobby, walking through the office, these little 2-minute, 3-minute encounters might just adjust the product, whatever they're working on. A slight little question, a slight little tweak gets them from ending way off from where they were going. So little tiny tweak here, but if you don't tweak it slightly, it ends up tweaking the opposite way and going completely off the rails by the time you see it. I hope this example is making sense. But if you have these tiny little tweaks as they're moving it forward, by the time it does get to you, that means quick. Yeah, that looks exactly like what I was looking for. You see how knowledge is power? Encouragement empowers people. This is actually why I think some leaders don't do it. If I encourage this person, I'm making them think they're doing a good job, but I don't think they're doing a good job. So how do I encourage them? They have so much more to learn. They continue to not do it right. I need them to adjust into the right role altogether. They're not in the best place yet. I'm not going to encourage that. Meanwhile, I certainly don't want to invest into their future. I'm not sure they're the right person for this job. Yeah, that I hear that all the time, and I get it, but it's completely wrong. It's completely wrong. Be someone who is known as an encourager, and you will earn the credibility to do one of two things. One of helping that person grow and learn and adapt and get into the right role, or you're so encouraging that you have this credibility to tell them this doesn't seem like the right spot, and they might even choose to move, and it changes the whole dynamic as they're leaving because they felt encouraged and they felt like the credibility was earned. It is empowering to be encouraged, but it also makes me value the person's input so much more. When someone who never talks to me all of a sudden is giving input into what I'm doing, I'm like, you don't know me, you don't know what I'm actually trying to do, you don't know my long-term goals. You think you know what this product should be, but I've invested so much time and put so much into it that you don't know all the information of how I made some of the adjustments I did that are different from what you're saying. You have just assumptions. And perhaps none of that's true. Perhaps you do know better and you know all the answers at the end, but do you see how that's not how it comes across when you're not an encourager? Perhaps you know the bigger picture, you know how it fits in a greater way, and you have the right as the boss to say whatever you want. Yeah. And you will have a staff that's in constant turnover. You'll have some pretty major issues, a few backstabbing moments. You're going to have all kinds of very expensive problems. But you're right. You're absolutely right. And you can continue to move down that path, or you can choose to take in the knowledge, to can be a learner and an encourager and someone who's constantly learning from their team, or I should say listening to their team, taking in the knowledge to be a better encouragement to their team, to make the tweaks, to have the right and the credibility to step in and to say hard things. I'm sure people are listening and saying, he's the boss. This this is ridiculous. You're a dinosaur. Sorry. Sure, that might have worked at one point in our history, but those companies are going bankrupt. And if you continue to go down that route, you will too. That's just the truth. And you can take it or you can leave it, but I'm going to tell you the truth. And as you are launching something, I want it to be amazing, and knowledge is power. Vision frame, continue to gain knowledge for adaptation in this area. Not every month, but a constant, continual growth of knowledge to make sure you are putting out the best vision forward. Relationship, the more you know your team, the greater it will be and the longer you will have them. Training, make it mandatory on your calendar and everyone on your team on their calendar. Encourage, take the time to build credibility so then you can give the knowledge. Your homework, at our next coaching meeting, I want you to tell me how you're doing those 4 things as you're launching whatever you're launching. Tell me about your next conference you're going to, what book you're reading, and tell me some details about your team that would be things that most bosses might not know. All right, and next time we're going to go over L, which is linking arms with your community. It's a great one. Can't wait. Let's go.